think he was there for about a week. But when he woke up, of course, he didn't remember anything. So I was the one who had to tell him they couldn't do the procedure. He had an incision that went from here all the way down to like his pubic bone. So he's like, so why did they? Well, they couldn't do it, hon. They took out your duodenum.
They tried.
And things were too bad. They couldn't do it. He said, so I'm going to die? I said, well, no, not right now. I'm not going to kill you or anything. So, no, you're good. We got you. We'll get you through this. Don't worry. Even though I knew it was terminal, I wasn't ever going to say those words to him.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Matt and Monica podcast.
Welcome.
We got a very special guest. Teresa here. I've known her for a very, very long time. I believe since 2007 when I started working with her at the casino.
Yep.
Worked with her in the bingo hall for many years. I believe 9 years I was working in there. And got to know her over the years and realized how selfless of a person she is and modest and humble and all that, which she's probably hating me saying that right now.
I'm not hating this right now.
Yeah. She's one of those people that she does not want her picture taken. She doesn't want anything to do with that. And I think that speaks volumes of her character or why she's here, because it's for an incredibly good cause, which you guys will get a mouthful of soon enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I guess we'll start back, when we first met and started working with each other and kind of go from there. Oh, boy.
No, don't forget at one point in time, we lived in the same house.
We did.
Different
Holy
stories.
shit, yeah. I lived in an old apartment long, long ago above her.
So did you guys know each other in the apartment before you worked?
Nope.
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope,
So
he's the one who suggested that I move in with my friend underneath him when the apartment became available.
Oh.
Yep. And and her daughter lived there with her, and it was pretty cool. She was my babysitter when years ago as well for my kids.
Yeah, my father still refers to him as I poke eye.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I poke eye.
He was at home with his kids, and his son started screaming, and he went out. He was doing dishes or whatever, and he came out and he asked his daughter, "Why is your brother crying?" She said, "I poke eye."
Oh, that's funny.
So, yes, this is how long I've known Matthew, since before his son was even born.
Yeah.
There was a day I rode home in his car, in his daughter's car seat. Used to be thinner.
Life happens.
No, Graves' disease, thyroid disease happens.
But so I don't know. I know you got kind of a list of more or less timeline of what we wanted to talk about. So I'll kind of let you take it off if you don't mind. And if you need
Depends on where you want me to start. I mean, I have a very long, sordid story.
Start wherever you want to start.
This is your story.
You're comfortable.
It's beautiful. So
I've been married 3 times.
Yeah.
The first time was I was 17 years old. I got married right out of high school, right after I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
Year later, my daughter came along. My husband was verbally and mentally abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have left that marriage instantly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever been in that situation, you get beat down so mentally that you think you're dirt and you don't deserve any better.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I stayed there until... Thankfully, my daughter was at either my sister's or my brother's for the night, whichever it was, spending the night with them on a weekend. He went out with his brother. He came home. Well, he called me and wanted me to go bring him home because he had so many DWIs he didn't have a license.
Okay.
I went to pick him up at the bar he was at. He was fighting with his brother on the front lawn of the bar. So I picked him off his brother, put him in the car, and took him home. And he thought the reason I took him off of his brother was because I was in love with his brother and was cheating on him with his brother. So he spent the entire night in our bedroom with a rifle in hand that was loaded, saying, "Bitch, come to bed. Come to bed, bitch. I dare you to come to bed."
Wow, man.
So I sat terrified in the living room all night long. And he got up in the morning. He never slept all night. He just tormented me all night with the gun.
Wow.
He got up with the gun, said, "I'm going to go blow my brother's brains out. And when I'm done, I'm coming back for you."
Jeez, I don't remember hearing this.
At which point, I don't tell
How old were you?
Story. 28, 29, somewhere around there.
And you had the one kid.
Just the one daughter, because I was not going to bring another child into this world with that man. And
yeah.
put them through all the terrible things my daughter went through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and when he left the house, I called my parents and said, you need to come get me right now. Thankfully, I have the best parents, and they were like, okay, here we come. And they flew down, picked me up, and I told them the entire story. This happened on December 15th. See, I have my date written here somewhere. I don't know. I give up.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Happened December 15th. I only remember this because it was the day before my brother's birthday.
Okay.
So other than that, I probably wouldn't remember.
Yep.
But yeah, so they came and got me, and then he spent the rest of the time after he got back to the house and realized I was gone, calling my parents' house, and we were ignoring the calls, of course, going to the answering machine. The answering machines were a thing at the time.
Yep. Back in the day.
A lot of people have no idea what those are. But talking to the answering machine, saying, that's my wife. She's mine. She's mine. I'm coming to get her. Wow. Well, thank you for warning us, because my sister-in-law, who is no longer my sister-in-law, but I still love her like a sister, called the police, told them what was going on. So they were sitting in my parents' driveway, and he pulled in, was getting ready to pull in my parents' driveway, saw the cop car sitting there, took off down the road. They caught him down the road. He pulled off and tried hiding in the woods, but they found him. They found the rifle, but they didn't find any rounds. So he tossed the bullets.
Yeah.
So he did end up in jail that night.
Good.
But
Man, that's
yes,
crazy.
he literally came after me with a gun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eric, go lay down. Go, stop it.
So, I mean, my daughter didn't even know any of this story. I didn't tell her any of this. I didn't want to poison her against her father or anything like that. Wasn't mine to do.
No,
I don't want.
I can. Yeah, I know all. Yeah, that's.
So she's an adult now. She's 32 now, so she knows the story now.
Yeah.
So
it sounds very similar to stuff that I've been through.
Yeah. So, I mean, I went from that to dating a guy that worked in the bingo hall, who was one of the floor clerks. And sadly, I still hadn't realized my self-worth and didn't realize I didn't deserve to be treated like shit. Felt I deserved to be treated like shit.
It takes a while to get.
It took me till I was in my 30s.
Well, that's a problem with people like you that are so humble and so real that you almost sell yourself short for people that you deserve so much more. And I know exactly who you're talking about. I forgot that, and
a lot of people forget about that, but I started dating him.
Yep.
Ended up working in the bingo hall with him.
Yep.
Married him, and less than a year later realized I don't need verbal and mental abuse. And a lot of people are going to be mad, thinking, oh, he would never do that. He's not like that. It was just when he was drinking. But no, it was him.
Yeah.
I mean,
no excuses.
Yeah. So, you've never sugarcoated or lied about anything since I've known you.
But I try not to say anything bad about anybody else, because it's not my job to tell other people how someone is.
Exactly.
So a lot of players were mad at me when I divorced him and left him, and it was less than a year later. And I dealt with a lot of backlash from that for quite a while.
That's crazy. People not knowing your side or what you're going through, or
all they saw was what he portrayed there.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, after that, oh boy, it was a series of just bad choices and bad boyfriends. Like a crackhead that used me for money.
Yeah.
There was the guy who dated me to basically use me as a babysitter. There was another one that, much like you guys, I was living in my parents' basement also. Except I was older, so I was even more ashamed of this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. I don't want anyone to ever be ashamed of living in their parents'
basement. You shouldn't have to be. I
mean, it's so much easier said than done. Especially when you have your whole life established and then you do that. Ugh.
I walked away from, like I said, 2 marriages without taking anything from them. Didn't want alimony. Like, even with my daughter, didn't take child support from him. The court was like, why don't you want child support? Well, he didn't work. I supported him.
Yeah.
What am I going to get from him? So they established it was, I guess, required that I had to get something.
Yes.
So I think they put it was like $20 a month or whatever. But I never filed the paperwork.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anything from him.
Yeah.
It's almost more work just to go through all that than just to get that.
I wanted absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Other people are giving me child support, give me this, give me that. I didn't want anything. Just give me back my life. Let me be me.
Yep.
That's all I wanted. And that's all I took. My belongings and my daughter's stuff. And my daughter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, and in the meantime, I met Matthew.
Yes, you did. Yeah, I loved working with you. That was a good time. I loved working there. That was fun.
We had the best times. I mean,
Yeah.
we got the job done.
Yeah.
We did everything we were supposed to do, but we had a friggin' blast.
Yeah, I was going to say you had so much fun.
The amount of relationships that you don't realize that you make in a place like that over the years, like people that I was so close to, that were like almost like an extension of my family.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to funerals for bingo players that have passed away.
Yeah, and it was a bingo hall, so there's a lot of funerals.
It's friggin' devastating. I mean, we see these people more than we see our families sometimes. Like,
well, they become your family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, living underneath Matt in the same house. I mean, it was just one day I was sitting out in the living room watching TV, and I looked down the front window. There was Matt mooning us.
Oh yeah, in the middle of the winter. It was. I remember.
Why?
He was shoveling the front porch and just decided to moon us.
Oh, this will be a good idea.
I was shoveling their porch out, being nice, and then all of a sudden I realized I'm like, oh, this is gonna be funny.
Oh
and then
my
of course
it was me that noticed it, and I just sat there going, oh. I lost my words because it was completely unexpected.
Yeah. And I remember I had my ass cheeks against the frozen window. It was literally frozen.
Like they're squished against the window?
But they're not looking. So I'm sitting there like shit. So I knock on the window, and all of a sudden I hear them all yelling inside. But it's funnier than hell. And then when I left, there was ass cheek circles.
There was prints, butt prints.
Probably for a long time.
Because I wasn't cleaning them off. I was like, that's Matt's butt.
Did you see that place caught fire?
I did. You sent it to me.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw it then. All right.
You sent me the link.
Send people a lot of shit. I don't remember.
He doesn't know.
He and my roommate at the time used to like to scare the crap out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
He came to the house one day because there was a stairway that led up in between the two places.
You got to know the
went
environment.
all the way upstairs, stopped on our floor, and then went all the way down to the basement.
200-year-old house in an old basement where a washer and dryer was. And I got to tell this story because I
Please
was there.
do.
And I'm down and I'm like 2 a.m. I don't know why I'm doing my laundry at like 2 a.m, but I hear a creak behind me. I turn around and didn't see anything. And I'm sitting there, I start throwing laundry in or taking out whatever the hell I was doing. All of a sudden I heard a creak again. I look behind me and I'm like, it's it's an old, deep or
dingy, dark basement.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like you see in horror movies.
Oh yeah,
basically, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Wayne. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name.
We're gonna say it so bad.
Wayne jumps out of nowhere and goes, instead of going like rah like a normal person, he's like baka like a rooster or something, and it scared me so bad. Like words cannot explain. That was etched into my brain. And then, ironically, I tried to do the same thing to him, and I hid in his closet. Which, yeah,
I knew he was in there too.
Yeah. Go get. Stop bringing toys. She's bringing all her toys over to us.
Wants to play.
Anyway, yeah. So we.
So he says, "Baka."
Yeah, just scared me. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of that story. But yeah, it was a good time living there.
Yeah, he hid in his closet to try to repay him.
Yeah.
And you did? You got him?
Yeah.
What did you do?
No,
what did you make?
I hid in his closet for like half an hour because when he came home from work, when I was all ready to scare him, he decided to take his dog for a walk first. So I'm like, fuck. And, then we ended up going. I ended up hiding on the other side of his bed, and when he came in his room, like I ended up jumping out and scaring the shit out of him.
So weird going in other people's.
Yeah,
you had that relationship to do that. Yeah.
Oh, remember that time? So this is hilarious. So they had a dog. What was Feisty? So Feisty was barking and howling, and I'm like, and she was out on a date, and I knew she was out on a date, so I know she's not home. I'm like, fuck, there's no one home. The dog is howling. It's really early in the morning. I got a baby sleeping. I'm like, you know what? I'm going down there. So I go down the stairs and I go up there because I don't think they ever locked it because we knew them that well.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a lock there.
Yeah. That dog was terrified of everything.
Yep.
And so I hear the dog barking and it runs into her bedroom. And all of a sudden, I decided to like go towards her bedroom, like trying to calm the dog down. It's growling. All of a sudden, you hear a stream of water. It was peeing. I'm like, oh shit! So I turn on the light
on my bed.
Yeah, the dog is standing on her bed, just pissing all over her bed. And what do? Instead of telling her, I left. I went back to bed. Didn't think anything of it. Well, didn't you bring a date home that night? Oh my god!
Oh no!
And then you're like, oh yeah, my dog must have peed on my bed, and so that guy thinks you probably pissed your own bed.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
See y'all. He scared my daughter's dog into pissing my bed while I was out.
And then you
Yep.
bring someone home.
That's great.
Lovely.
Story of my life.
Yep. That was funny in hell. Where are we at now about?
Well,
All right, so you guys live together, you work together,
Mhm.
getting close. Like, how long was it from when you worked together until, was it you left? You still work there?
I still work at the
You
casino.
Oh, okay. So you're the one that left bingo.
I left in
Yep.
2014 to go to basic training, and that's when about the same time I went into IT.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I still work there.
Were you so sad when you heard that he was not going to work there anymore?
Oh, I cried.
Oh,
I cried. There's been a few people that have made me cry when they
Yeah.
left. Matt was one of them.
but he was
Yeah.
still in the same building,
It
so
wasn't the same though.
it wouldn't be.
We weren't living together anymore. I mean, we both moved out of
Okay.
that apartment
Yeah.
Yeah.
house. I think the exact
Yep.
same day.
So everything
if not-
was changing.
Yep.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember helping you move in there and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. But oh yeah, so that was like probably what 2011 or so, 2010 maybe.
You're the younger one with better memory than me. I don't know.
I have no idea. But
Yeah, we still always stayed in touch, you know.
Mhm.
and
Oh, yeah.
He would come
Yep.
through bingo and visit, and
mhm.
Oh, he still does that.
yeah, we still.
Yeah, every time I go there,
To
I
this
cut
day.
through there.
well, I still have to wait my turn though, because the players love him. So,
They do.
so I wait
They
my
sure
turn.
do.
I'm like, well, if he sees me, he sees me. If not, I'll catch him next
Oh,
time.
you know he's always looking for you. Yep. Always.
Wow. Yeah, so where do you want to go into how you met somebody special in bingo yet or not? Yeah, where are we in your?
We can do that. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, there's just a couple other losers that really just don't need to be.
You
Yeah,
gotta weed through the bad ones to get to the good
Oh.
ones.
In the
Mhm.
end, I mean, I used to tell everybody I finally had to meet the guy from Tompkins County because I dated and dumped everybody in Oneida and Madison. So, but yeah, it was February of 2012, and a very busy promotion called Sweetheart Special, where two people come in and they play for a certain price for level 3. It's cheaper than normal, and it's always
Oh, yeah,
busy
I
as
remember that.
hell. And I was still working out on the floor at this time, and I dreaded going into work. I was like, I don't want to do this. I really don't, because I'm going to get a headache. They're going to friggin' kill me. I'm going to have to run like an idiot. So I was just in a bad mood going into work
Mhm.
for this stupid promotion called Sweetheart Special. So I get to work, and I'm running around doing my normal thing. And there's an older woman sitting in my section with a younger guy next to her. Not younger, but my age younger. And she's like, I'm being a cougar today. I said, nothing wrong with that. I've done that myself a time or two. I said, that doesn't make you a bad person. She goes, no, he's not really with me. I didn't even know what a cougar was until, my friend told me what a cougar was. She said, I kept saying wolf. He's not really with me, but he wouldn't mind having your number.
Oh.
I looked at him, I looked back at her, and I said, honey, if he wants my number, all he's got to do is ask.
Aw.
And of course, we spent the rest of the session, making googly eyes at each other. He's leaning
So
back
fun.
in his chair staring at me, and I'm staring at him while still doing my job. Still did my job. Never stopped. But yeah, at intermission, he came up to me and he goes, I don't know if you meant this or not, but if you're interested, this is my number. And I already had
Aw.
mine written out, and I was like, yep,
Here you go.
here you go. This one's mine.
Aw.
So yep, spent
Oh, that's so exciting.
the rest of the session still making googly eyes at each other. And I'm having a much better day now at this point.
Changed everything, huh?
Changed my entire
Yep.
attitude instantly.
Mhm.
And the session ends, and he's like, that's my aunt that I'm with. He said, we rode in together. He said, she wants to play machines for a little while. So would you like to hang out and talk for a little bit? And I was like, absolutely, I would. Mind you, I'm like just smitten with him at this point already.
Yeah.
And I am a terrible friend because I forgot, and I was giving one of my coworkers a ride home.
Oh my
That
god.
You're a little
day.
distracted.
I was so
just a
distracted.
little.
So she also played machines. So I told her, I was like, here's $20. Go
Oh,
play
good friend.
machines.
Mhm.
I will give you a ride home. Call your husband. Tell him you're going to be late.
Oh yeah, I love her. She's so sweet. Yeah.
So I'm a terrible friend due to, making googly eyes at this guy. I forgot I was supposed to bring a friend home. So I did bring her home. I was like, go play machines. I will find you after that. So yeah, we walked and talked and found out everything, exchanged numbers, and agreed that we were going to meet up and all that. And he had a bit of a history himself.
Mm-hmm.
He had also been married and divorced twice, and neither one of us ever planned on ever getting married again.
Just like over it. Just
it was yep.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Can't
marriage
go through that
wasn't
again.
meant to be for either
Right.
of us, but we were both okay with being, long-term, happy, monogamous
Mhm.
relationships and all that. But neither one of us had ever planned on getting married again. Like I had even told my daughter, if I ever get married again, it's got to be to a gay man.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, and we'll both cheat on each other and with the other men, and it'll be all good.
It'll be
just
fine.
It'll just be
Yeah.
for health insurance reasons and tax write-offs and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she got mad at me when I told her I was getting married a third time until she got to know him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, he lived an hour and a half away from me in Tompkins County. I was in Floyd, New York, in my parents' basement.
Mhm.
Wow.
He was in Tompkins County in Dryden, New York, in his parents' basement because of just life.
See, I didn't know that.
See-
and I've always said they're like so similar to us. Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in his parents' basement.
Wow.
Can't see her.
It's because of her toys.
So she likes to
She likes to
collect
dribble.
her toys. Okay.
Here's your toys. Okay. Anyway.
Sorry. Okay, now I can see you. Okay.
So yeah, it took a lot, but we made it work. I mean, on my days off, I was over there
Mm-hmm.
in his parents' basement. They absolutely loved me. I still love them. So it didn't matter. And on days where I had to work, like I worked Sunday morning, or no, I don't even remember. I want to say it was Sunday mornings that I worked at the time. So he would come with me on my way back
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
and play Sunday morning while I worked. And then we'd go back to his place in Dryden, New York. So it was a whole lot of back and forth miles
Mhm.
on my car. He didn't have a license because he was also naughty. And see, I don't drink or do any recreational drugs or anything like that. I'm a very boring person.
No, you're not.
That doesn't make you.
He was an alcoholic.
Mhm.
And if there was a drug out there, he tried it. Other than heroin, he
Yeah.
didn't do anything injectable or anything like that.
He was in the Marine Corps at one point in time too,
He
right?
was.
Okay, I just want to throw that out there. I thought
Yep.
so. Cool.
He was in the Marines also.
I would like to throw in real quick. When I worked there with her, obviously all of us, all of her coworkers, we all got to know this guy very well, and we all loved him because he was equally as humble and kind as this person right here. He is an incredible, incredible person, and yeah, just want to throw that in there because it's very relevant.
But yeah, I mean, we had just a fairy tale kind of love. We
Yeah.
never argued. We got along on everything. We loved everything the same. It
Did
was,
everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if one did something, the other one did.
Yeah.
But even if one of us did something that the other one didn't do, like he went yearly with his mother to go visit his brother in Michigan for Hash Bash. It's a big weed party.
Where I thought you were going with that. I didn't know.
never heard of it.
No, me either.
I don't know if they still bother to do it now that it's
Mhm.
legal and all
Okay.
that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he would go every year, and he was just shocked when he was like, "Hun, can I go and do this?" And of course you can. I
Aw.
still, by the time he found out and his brother invited him, it was too late for me to take time off from work.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's like, "You're going to let me go alone without you?" And I'm like, "You're going with your mother to visit your brother. Of course
You're
I'm
like, I
going to
trust
let you
you.
go."
It's fine.
Yeah.
I
The
don't care
trust.
if you want to go. You're
Yeah.
allowed to go. You're an
Mhm.
adult. You can do as you please.
Right.
So yeah, he would go every year to Hash Bash with his mother and visit his brother. And it was the kind of love where, because of my past, I was always waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Mhm.
I was like, there has to be something.
Yeah.
There has to be some reason.
Yeah.
There has to be something evil lurking underneath that I just
And
don't
you're just
see
waiting
yet.
for it to come out.
I was
waiting and
for
waiting.
it.
Yeah, that was me for
It-
like
it
a good year
never
and a
did.
half.
It never,
Yep.
ever did.
I'm still waiting for it.
He
With
says
her. All the
Stop
time.
waiting for it.
I know,
Sometimes it doesn't
I know,
happen.
I know. At this point, I'm not concerned about it for a long time. I'm like, this.
He's just waiting for me
she's
to
too
like,
good to
go
be true.
crazy. You
She's
know?
got to be batshit crazy. It's got to be somewhere in there.
Yeah,
But
that's what I was waiting for. I was like, where's the jealous side? Where's the crazy side? Where's the alcoholic? Where's the violence? Where's
right.
everything
Well,
that
that's
I'm
what
used
you
to?
knew.
Yeah,
you know?
everything I was
So,
used to.
Yes.
So,
And it actually probably scared you.
it did.
Yeah.
I was terrified for the longest time, which is why we were together for 5 years before we said, why are we doing this? Why not just get married? Let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we got engaged on my birthday. He proposed.
Can you tell that story? I just want to know how
did
he proposed to you.
Or how did you propose? Because you
Or
guys are unique, so it
actually,
could have went
yeah.
either way.
Neither one of us was all that romantic like that. Like I love giving people gifts, but I hate getting gifts.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate it. I'd rather be punched in the eye than get a gift.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my birthday, and I knew he was going to do it because I took him shopping for the ring.
Yep. You keep going.
We went to a restaurant that I absolutely loved. It was in Ithaca, New York.
Okay.
Just right down the road from Dryden and all of that.
Yep.
And he sat there, and he pulled out the box, and he was like, "Would you marry me?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Would you marry me?
You know I'm gonna. I already told you I would. And so we just made it official, basically. But yeah.
But you guys were probably basically married already. It was just to make it official.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we saved up together and paid for the wedding and moved into our place that we had bought ourselves. It was a single wide trailer because we were both, and I still am, but unfortunately he's not, a very simple person. I don't need a lot. I don't want a
That
lot.
is so you.
All I have is what I need.
Yeah.
I don't like extravagant stuff. I don't like anything fancy. I am the most simplistic person in the world.
Yeah, you are.
So, I mean, he was the same way. Like our relationship, our second anniversary, he was working at Tractor Supply or something like that part-time.
Yep.
He came home, and on our second anniversary, he hands me a card, and I open it, and it's like, happy anniversary and all that. And I'm like, well,
Aww.
shit, I forgot. I'm like, I'm the worst wife in the world. I'm like,
No.
if I would have been married to a woman, I would have been in trouble. But because it was him, and he knows my brain, and he knows I'm just off in left field most of the time, he was like, that's okay.
Yeah.
So I took him to Walmart later that day, and I picked up like 5 different cards that were anniversary cards. I was like, here, these are for you. Read them, and then put them back on the shelf.
That's what my mom does on her anniversary with her husband.
That's what we would do on holidays. We'd go to Walmart and look,
That's so
here,
funny.
this is for you. I love you so much. I picked you 2. Here. Okay, read. All right, put them back.
Yep. That's a good idea.
You know how many people
love
are going
it.
to do
So
that now
cute.
because of this?
Yep.
Hey,
A lot.
Yep.
not everybody is, normal.
Hallmark hates you right now, just so you know.
be it. All the card
Good idea.
companies can bite me. It's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just I'm not like, we didn't do Christmas gifts. If someone wanted something,
Mhm.
we would just go out and buy it for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was something cute or something that made you think of them, we'd just go out and get it.
Yeah.
There was no special holidays or anything like that. Like Valentine's Day, we didn't celebrate or do anything.
That's like us.
that.
We don't really do that kind of stuff. We try to do stuff like that every day, every once in a
Yeah.
while type of thing.
I
you
don't
know?
need a special occasion to
Yes.
tell somebody
Yeah.
that I love
Exactly.
them or show them that I love
Yes.
them.
Yeah, it should be every day.
It
Yep.
should be.
every day.
We never stopped dating each other.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we
That's
say.
us.
Like, yeah.
We never took each other for granted.
Yep.
Yep.
We just
Mhm.
loved each other.
Mhm.
And then life decided something different.
Yeah.
It was August of 2021, after COVID and all that. He started getting sick all the time, throwing up and not feeling good and getting weak and all that. And so we had a routine doctor's appointment
Mm-hmm.
that we had to have blood work for, which we'd had these orders for 6 months because we went every 6 months to the doctor, to our primary,
Mhm.
and we just kept holding off on it. And so we finally got it done. I was like, we need to do this. because it was a 14-hour or 12-hour, however long the fast is before the blood work, so
Okay.
they could get your blood sugar levels and all that.
Yeah.
And because we were both happy fat kids and I worked weird hours and all that, trying to fast for that long was difficult.
Yeah.
Because I would come home from work and eat, and then the next day, well, I got to go work in the afternoon, but it hasn't been 12 hours since I've fasted, so we got to wait for a certain day. So we finally went and got the blood work done. And based off of those numbers on his blood work, his doctor's like, you need to go see this endocrinologist.
Mm-hmm.
He set up an emergency appointment. We went there. He threw up on the way there.
Mm-hmm.
And he did more blood work and tests and stuff. And based off of that, they sent him to Syracuse, to the ER there.
Mm-hmm.
Said his blood sugar levels were like 600 something, which is extremely high.
Okay, that's
like diabetic shock high.
Wow.
So he spent some time at Syracuse Hospital. He was in the ER waiting in their waiting room for, I think it was like 14 hours before they finally took him in.
Stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And yeah, this was a stubborn man who didn't like doctors to begin with. So I was proud of him for staying there that long.
That's
and toughing it out. Mind you, I
insane.
didn't realize how bad it was. He didn't realize how bad it was. And just being the people that we are, I literally dropped him off at the doors of the hospital and went to work.
Hmm.
So he spent the entire time I was at work and the entire night after sitting in the ER waiting for them to even see him.
Mm-hmm.
He was admitted. He was in their ICU for a while. And they're like, we don't really know what's going on with you. We think you're diabetic. So, yeah, it was a bunch of doctor appointments and tests later. And he ended up in Albany Med.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the ones who did the ERCP and whatever, EUS, to discover he had pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
He had a teeny tiny little tumor, but it was pressed up right against the nerve and the blood vessels that lead to all of your intestines and everything else. So it was really hard to find. So Syracuse said he was fine, but he didn't have cancer. It took Albany Med to discover that he had cancer. And he had so many complications from this. He ended up with, his gallbladder was bad. It was full of stones and sludge, but they couldn't take it out because it was so inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up with a drainage tube sticking out of his body that drained all of the disgusting fluids and stuff out of his gallbladder so it wouldn't burst. His lungs filled with fluid at one point, so he had tubes sticking out of him for his lungs to drain fluid out of his lungs. He ended up with 3 drainage tubes at one point. The other one was for fluid that was filling in his gut. So he was just bloated, and he was his own human fountain at this point in Albany Med.
Wow.
He came close to dying a few times on me there. Didn't. Pulled through. I did all of this without complaining or whining or anything like that. Yeah. He was in and out of the hospitals and the ERs. He ended up with a pulmonary embolism at one point. So he had a blood clot in his lung that could have killed him and didn't. And then on June 14th of 2022, he was scheduled at Albany Med to have a Whipple procedure done, which removes half of your pancreas, which would have taken out the cancerous tumor and taken care of everything.
Incredibly risky procedure from what I looked up online, right?
Very risky, very difficult, not done very often.
Mm-hmm.
And we got there. We had to be in Albany Med. I think it was like 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning or something like that, which is an hour and a half away from where we live. So we drove there, got there. And just before they wheeled him in for the surgery, the nurse said, I have to let you know, just because of legal reasons, that for 1 out of 10 people, this procedure doesn't work. We were that 1 out of 10. I was sitting in my car.
Yeah.
I was sitting in my car in the parking garage, waiting for them to do the procedure, and I got a phone call from the surgeon. His name was Dr. Negum. I don't know if I should say it or not, but he called me and said, it doesn't look good in there. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Everything is inflamed. Everything is swollen. It's just a mess. I said, okay, just please try. about an hour and a half later of sitting and worrying, he called me back and he said, I was unable to do the procedure. He said, I discovered that it had gone beyond the pancreas into the duodenum.
What is that?
It's apparently a little part in your stomach that helps with digestion and all that. So they ended up having to take that out. So now his intestines were now attached to his stomach directly. So he said that was full of cancer too. I couldn't do the procedure. I said, so are you telling me that this is now terminal? His answer was yes.
Man.
So I stayed at the hospital. He was supposed to be there about a week. I think he was there for about a week. But when he woke up, of course, he didn't remember anything. So I was the one who had to tell him they couldn't do the procedure. He had an incision that went from here all the way down to like his pubic bone. So he's like, so why did they? Well, they couldn't do it, hon. They took out your duodenum.
They tried.
And things were too bad. They couldn't do it. He said, so I'm going to die. I said, well, no, not right now. I'm not going to kill you or anything. So no, you're good. We got you. We'll get you through this. Don't worry. Even though I knew it was terminal, I wasn't ever going to say those words to him.
Yeah.
Ever. So then he had to have a port put in. He had to have chemotherapy. So he went for the one kind of chemotherapy, which made him sick as a dog. It was called FOLFIRINOX. It's a very, very strong chemotherapy. I was there with him for every hospital procedure, every chemotherapy, every session of radiation he had after that. He was only able to do radiation a few times because it made him super duper sick. But that was the point where there was nothing else they could do. He was beyond help at that point, sadly. Yeah. And we knew it was terminal, and the doctors kept saying, well, go on hospice. I don't want to go on hospice, was his thing. That's for people who are dying. I don't want it. So after everything was all said and done, about, I want to say it was like a week and a half before he actually passed away, he finally agreed to hospice. And I think that was when he basically gave up hope, because he knew there was nothing else they could do. I mean, I watched a man, when we started dating, he probably weighed like 180 or so. And after living with me and, you know, the things that I do, like eating chocolate cake with chocolate pudding on top of it, or, you know, all of that fun stuff, he weighed probably 250.
Yeah.
I watched him go from 250 pounds to, when he passed away, probably less than 100 pounds.
I remember the day I saw him one day, went out to dinner, and we went through the bingo hall. I remember seeing him sitting there, and he was always so, hey, Matt, you know, super friendly and so happy to see me and shake his hand. And then I remember, I want to say 6 months or so afterwards, I remember going and seeing, going through the bingo hall, and I looked at him, didn't even recognize him. I looked back, and he said hi to me, just like he always does. I'm like, and every hair in my body just stood up. And it must have been pretty close to the end, you know, because he looked like he was probably like 110, 120 pounds or so. And, you know, same smile, same greeting he had when he was healthy.
He didn't want people to know he was sick. For the longest time, we didn't tell anybody that he had pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
It got to the point, like I said, he went from 250 to probably less than 100. We didn't weigh him at the end because I didn't want to know personally. But it got to the point where, you know, I'm still the same size and he's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm like, honey, if you're going to keep going out in public, we got to tell people something. I was like, because right now it looks like we can only afford to feed one of us, and it's me. I was like, it doesn't look good for me. It looks like I'm starving you.
Yeah.
So we need to tell people something. So that was when he finally admitted, you know, to tell people that, okay, we can tell people that I have cancer, but I don't want anyone to feel bad for me. I don't want people to look different at me. I was like, they're not gonna. You're still the same person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. We got you. We'll get you through this. We're good. So, but February 22nd, 2022, or 2023. I'm sorry. 2/22/23 is the day I lost him.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no denying that day. I mean, he was in constant pain for the last 36 hours of his life. It was torture I wouldn't want to see an animal go through what he went through, let alone a human, the man that I loved.
Yeah.
And it was just gut-wrenching to watch. And I was already informed by hospice, you don't call 911, you don't do any of that, you call us.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I'm calling them. And they weren't showing up. They weren't coming. I was getting their answering service because it was...
Oh, my gosh.
How is that even a thing? Like,
everybody is so gung-ho about hospice, and the experience I had with them was terrible. So I was
my heart
not a fan.
goes out to you. Like that, I couldn't.
I mean, my daughter is an RN.
Mm-hmm.
She came and saw him, and at this point, he was really not conscious anymore. He was just struggling to breathe and in pain, groaning in pain. And no matter what amount of pain meds they told me over the phone, because they'd call me and say, oh, just give him more morphine. Give him more morphine. Give him more of this. So I did that, and nothing was helping. And she saw his breathing, and she called up hospice and yelled at them.
Yeah.
Good.
So I got a woman there who came. It was probably a little before 5 o'clock. She got there. She walked in the room. She assessed him. Can I see you out here? So we went out in the hallway together, and she says, I believe he is actively dying. I said, I believe you're right. Can I go back in there to my husband now? And he passed away at 5:20.
Wow.
So by then I had, a whole host of narcotics in my house, because I used to joke with them all the time, your cancer is going to get me put on a drug list somewhere. I had fentanyl in the house, fentanyl patches, more morphine than I could probably killed a horse with the amount of drugs I had there. It took the woman from hospice a good hour to destroy all of the narcotics.
Wow.
I didn't want any of them in my house,
Right.
and I didn't want anyone else to get a hold of them. She's like, do you
Yeah.
want me to leave you packets? I was like, I'd prefer it if you did it, just so I know.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah.
but he would not want me to be sad and mope around the rest of my life and be depressed. So
Right.
I choose to move on.
Yep.
And that's exactly what I'm doing and trying to do. But yeah, I did try to date somebody. Judge me if you want. People out there.
No, nobody
It's
will
all right.
judge you.
No one. This is
Considering
the not
he passed in
judgmental
February,
ever.
but
Yeah.
I wanted a relationship, and he just wanted somebody to.
Yeah. Well,
So
bye then. So
it was fun, and I would have been fine with that. I have no problems with that. Friends with benefits things, I'm okay with that. But if you're gonna let me treat you like a potential partner,
Yeah.
and you're gonna treat me like just somebody at home,
Yep.
I'm gonna protect myself and call it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did.
As you should.
Yeah.
The problem with being a 51-year-old widow is that every man in the world is either married, has a girlfriend, or a boyfriend.
Yeah. Oh,
So my dating pool is very shallow.
it may expand after this, though.
You never know.
Oh man.
I don't know.
Oh man. I wanted to ask you, not to pull you off track there, but because this wasn't your first encounter with the big C, cancer.
No,
Yeah.
my sister.
Yeah.
I lost my sister on December 17th, the day after my brother's birthday, 2007. She had breast cancer.
Yeah. 30,
She-
wasn't she?
She was 29.
29.
Are you
Okay.
serious? It's so young.
Yeah. She found out at age 24. She endured more chemotherapy and radiation than any one person is ever supposed to have to endure.
Yeah.
And she fought every second, and she lived life like it was her last day, because she never knew when her last day was coming.
Yeah.
So I that's how I live my life. It's in my head. Other people are like, what would Jesus do? In my head is, what would Wendy do? Which was my little sister.
Yeah.
So Wendy would go out and have fun and party. I don't party, mind you, because I don't drink, but I go out and have fun. It's what I do.
You
Yeah.
live life to the
you
fullest.
You can either choose to be miserable or choose
Yeah.
to be happy.
Thank
I
you.
choose to be happy.
Yeah. I made that choice too.
Yeah.
Because it is a choice, and people need to fucking realize that.
People hear it though, and I think it goes in one ear and out the other.
Oh, it's one. It's
They don't
one
put effort into it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just don't do it. and it takes time to train yourself to think like that
Yeah.
and to do stuff to make yourself happy, but
Yeah.
it's 100% possible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I sit and wallow in sadness? Yes, I did for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it took my father-in-law, his stepfather, coming to my house and telling me, don't do this to yourself. He wouldn't want this.
Right.
I don't want this for you. Be happy.
Yeah. I think I had a conversation with you like that. Granted, it's through Messenger a couple times. Cause I've always said, like, you're one of the very few couples that remind me, like, your guys' love,
Yeah.
you know, to very similar to ours. And
It wasn't just physical. It was
everything.
We were just connected and bonded.
Everything.
It just worked from the instant we saw each
Yeah,
other.
Yeah.
that's how it was with us. Like, you just felt it. It
we just
wasn't,
knew.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he never had any kids. He had no children. He never wanted kids. He was terrified of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an adult daughter. And then not long, after we were together, she had a son.
Mm.
So it was his first experience with babies.
That's amazing.
Ever.
Yeah.
He'd never even held a baby because he was terrified. If one of his friends was like, here, he'd be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
So my daughter, Matthew knows my daughter.
I know her very well, yeah.
Mhm.
My daughter's like, what do you think he's going to do? I'm like, to what? And she goes, bloop, and throws her newborn son into my husband's lap. I don't think we were married at the time, no, because Aiden's 7 and we were married for 5. So no, it was still my fiance at the time. Puts the baby in his lap and he's just sitting there.
Like awkward and scared.
Terrified that he was
That's
going to
so
break
cute.
this baby.
Yeah.
And,
Aw.
and then she had her daughter a few years later and all that, and they were his grandkids. He loved those kids like they were his grandkids.
How could you not?
He was Papa Mike to them. I mean, I'd be at work and Thanksgiving, oh good Lord, Halloween, he would open the door and they would come trucking on in and Papa, trick or treat, and we'd go to the store and he'd pick out something for the kids. This from the man who was terrified of children his whole life. So he just...
That's awesome.
He loved them and accepted them, and they were his grandkids.
Yep.
I was like, it takes a special man to never be a daddy, but be a grandpa.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He was that man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man. Yeah.
It's all right. We can.
No, I
wrap.
just
Remember to cherish what you have. Don't take it for granted. Don't take each other for granted. Don't.
That's one thing I will say though. He always, like, every day is always saying stuff to me, like how much he loves me, appreciates me, and is thankful. And like, I try to do the same back to him. And I don't think we would ever feel like we say it enough.
You never feel like it.
But it's.
There's no such thing as using it too much ever.
Yeah, I know.
Just isn't.
Yeah.
Can't be done.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Other people might call it clingy. Then I'm sorry if you think that's clingy. You don't understand what true love is.
Yeah.
You haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
I feel
when
like
you find it, you'll know.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And don't settle because it's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many people I believe settle. They just think like they sell themselves short, just like I've done most of my life. I'm not saying about relationships even. I'm just saying in general, with everything I've always sold myself short. And it's a very common thing. I think everybody just about does it. And I don't know. I think it makes everything in your life better when you give yourself more credit.
Yeah, everybody has self-doubts and
Yeah.
worries and wonders and stuff like that. And I mean, I only have 4 rules in a relationship. Don't abuse. Don't neglect. Don't lie. Don't cheat.
Yeah.
Those aren't hard rules.
Mm-hmm.
For you. For a lot of people, it's incredibly difficult.
It seems impossible.
Yeah, it's
Impossible.
insane to me to hear about all the stories of other people. Their relationships are so, like, not healthy.
Yeah.
But they stay in them.
But they put no effort, just like people like to put no effort into anything,
Right.
whether it's relationships or, getting sober or losing weight or, people want the easy option. They just want their relationship to work with putting no effort into it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or be treated good if they don't treat the other person how they want to be treated.
Yeah.
They expect more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you got to work together.
mm-hmm.
You got to love each other together.
It's a two-way street.
But oh boy, yeah. I don't really remember much about your sister because obviously she passed away right before I met you. But if I do recall, I remember her being very pretty.
Oh, she was gorgeous.
Yeah, I don't know why I would remember that.
Which is why people should always be very careful about how they describe people. And here's a little thinking into my mind and how I ended up where I ended up with abusive husbands and all that.
Uh-huh.
Growing up, my sister was 5 years younger than me. She was absolutely like model gorgeous. And there was me. We were referred to as the Melnick sisters. The smart one and the pretty one.
Teresa.
I was the smart one. Of course, Wendy was the pretty one.
Mm-hmm.
But that led me to believe my entire life, and I still fight with it to this day, that I was ugly. And it led my sister to believe she was stupid.
Oh.
So you should never, ever label people like
yeah,
that.
I agree. Oh,
People
goodness.
need to be very careful about their words because
Yeah.
I grew up thinking I was ugly. She grew up thinking she was stupid.
Yeah.
So,
You know, it's good that you're saying that because I think a lot of people don't think about it. And it's
No.
not that they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
It's just be more aware.
they had no
Yeah.
idea that they were, by putting these little labels on us, that it would have
Mhm.
psychological effects for our entire life. So, yes,
Yeah.
I married the first guy who ever showed me any kind of attention.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I mean,
I didn't think I was worthy of anything
Right.
else. I was the
Yeah.
ugly one, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
yeah.
So, I mean, to
Mhm.
this day, I still fight with that. So when someone tells me I'm pretty, I'm like, bite me,
You don't
no.
believe them.
Bite me, no. I'm not.
Mhm.
Been that way my entire life.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm 51. I don't think I'll change.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think like one of the biggest things, you know, I think the only reason, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I messaged you a few nights ago, told you about the podcast. I'm like, hey, like, what if you coming on could, you know, kind of help other people? And I felt like you were, must have been like, fuck you, Matt, because I know you, and you're like, damn it, I can't say no.
Yeah, I was just going to say you wouldn't be able to say no to him.
Every fiber of my being wanted to say no to you. But because I love you
Yeah.
and have known you so long and there's nothing I wouldn't do for you, I agreed to do this. I would rather if you just said, can I come punch you in the face? I'd have been like, yeah,
I'd be right there.
please do. I'll
Yeah.
come drive over. You punch me in the face and it'll be all good. I hate this with every fiber of my being.
I hope you end up
But
loving it, though. I hope you do.
If it will help
Yes.
one person
Yeah.
to realize, wow, she came through this shit. She's still happy. She still enjoys her life. She's still trying.
Yeah.
Can you tell people, like, if you get kind of down and out, what do you do to make yourself feel better?
I lose myself in my phone.
Okay.
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is a big part for me. I watch, you know, true crime things and I watch, you know, there's one YouTuber that I absolutely love. He's ridiculous humor, Brandon Ferris.
Yeah.
I watch him all the time.
Mhm.
I would just lose myself into YouTube. That's what I did when I was sitting in doctor's office while he was doing
Okay.
chemo and all that. So it's still like an extension of me.
Yes.
It helps me to escape reality.
Mhm.
Like, I don't like watching the news or anything like that because there's just depressing
Yeah.
crap.
Oh, thank
on
you.
None of it's
the
Yeah.
news.
good. Yeah.
I don't watch newspapers.
Yep.
I am so far away from
Mhm.
current
So are we.
events.
Yep.
Same.
I have no idea what's going on in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's
that's how we
something
are,
going on in
too.
Israel, and
I
you
have
know,
Yeah.
the only things I see on any kind of news or anything is if I'm on the break in the break room at work
yeah,
Yeah.
because they'll have like the news on if it's not on a sport or something,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, oh, okay, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any of that. There's enough
Yeah.
ugly in the world. I don't need any more ugly in my
Yep.
life.
Yeah.
I don't
you're a lot
want it.
happier to get just
I am.
cast it aside.
I mean, the
Same here.
world could blow up tomorrow from a bomb that everybody in the world knows about, except for me.
Yeah.
'Cause I won't pay any attention.
We'd be right there with you, though.
I'll be sitting
Yep.
there on YouTube and just
You know,
Yeah.
evaporate and life's done. I wouldn't know it was coming.
I mean,
Yeah.
using that logic, you know, that goes back to like the entire thing of this podcast. Of what's really helped me was, you know, just not dwelling on things out of your control. And if you're going to watch the news, and unless you're going to really do something to advocate for real change, which you know, not many people can or even
Most
think
of
they
us
I
can
don't
do.
have the power to do
Yeah.
most of it.
Right.
Or they-
Right.
You know, nobody has faith that they can, you know,
Mhm.
acquire that much
Yeah.
power. But the thing is, you know, like the second you shut that off and you're just like, you know, what's the point of watching this negative bullshit? Oh, another school shooting, another this. It's like, you know, first of all, I don't understand why they advertise that stuff, because when they talk about these school shootings and they talk about all this negativity, you're kind of supporting it in
You're
a
feeding into
roundabout
it.
way. You are.
You're conditioning people to think about it all the time.
Yeah.
To the people that probably really shouldn't think
Man, I
about
think
it.
it's normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are we though? We don't know what we're talking about. So.
Yeah.
But I do believe the vast majority of people in this world are incredibly good people.
Yeah.
You know, there's some shitty people out there, but there's a lot of people I believe that are bad people that have potential to freaking change and turn their lives around. And
If they want to.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people want to, but they just don't have. They don't think they can. They get so stuck.
They don't have the resources. They think they can't find the resources, or they don't have a support system. Maybe they feel alone, and maybe, you know, like you have a huge support system.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of
and
why I
some
wanted to do
people
this.
don't,
You know,
right?
just, you
Have
know,
that.
I'm fortunate,
So,
man. Like, I'll do anything to let other people know. Like, you know, I'm the first to admit, you know, I'm very fortunate. You know, going through you know my own shit in my life, I got people like Teresa. You know, I've talked to Teresa, you know, periodically throughout the year, and just I don't know. I'm very thankful. So I am thankful for you as well.
I'm thankful for you.
and
You're part of my support system.
Well,
I have a huge one too.
You know, like when I see you posting stuff on Facebook, which you don't very often, once in a while you post something nice and you mention Mike or how you're feeling and stuff, and it really puts things into perspective. Because I'm like, man, like, you know, when I was going through my hard times this year, I'm like, this why me? You know, it can't get any worse than this. But then I see you, and I'm like, okay, it could get a little worse. It could get a lot worse. Like I could lose the person I love forever, and like. You know, we got to be appreciative of the time that we were fortunate enough to have. You know, especially you having Mike, man.
I mean, it turns out I was preparing for him to be gone before he was gone. I mean, everyone was like, he doesn't work. Why doesn't he work? We had reversed roles. I worked. He stayed home. He cooked. He did the cleaning and all that. And
that's okay.
Apparently,
it worked for you.
It did.
Yeah.
It worked for me. I mean, he had bad knees. He couldn't get around any. I mean, between the military, him playing, you know, soccer as a kid, and he was a mason. He did masonry repair work.
Yeah.
His knees were shot. He needed both knees to be replaced, but his doctor wanted him to hold off because he was so young. He's like, they only last about 10 years. Hold off as long as you can. Mind you, cancer decided he didn't need new knees anyway, but so he stayed home. I worked. I was able to pay the bills. We were both very simplistic people.
Yeah.
So we didn't need a lot. We didn't want a lot. So, I mean, my job paid the bills. And everyone always judged and would pick on him. Oh, you're the wife. Oh, whatever.
Maybe they were jealous that
I don't care. It didn't matter to me. People are allowed to think whatever they want.
Yeah.
I don't care what other people's opinions of me are. They don't pay my bills. I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had reverse roles to begin with.
Yeah.
And we were just a different kind of couple.
Yeah.
So,
there needs to be more couples like that.
Like I said, I paid the bills and he stayed home. And our wedding song, not that we danced because I don't dance. I'm not a real girl. I'm sorry. I'm the world's worst girl. In case you haven't figured it out. Our wedding song was Meghan Trainor's Like I'm Gonna Lose You. The lyrics are, I'm going to love you like I'm going to lose you. So, I mean, it was like I was preparing to lose him before I even lost him.
Wow.
I mean, I already knew I could pay all of my bills on my own. And I already, you know, I did love him like I was going to lose him from the very minute we met. I mean, we told each other we loved each other after, I think, like 3 weeks together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were right, like right there. Yeah.
I think like a week. I think our first real date, like when we actually went out and stuff, when I introduced you as my girlfriend, and we didn't make yourself official. I introduced her to one of my guy friends,
and I'm like,
I'm his girlfriend.
Yeah, basically.
It could have went one of two ways, though. It really could have.
Yeah, it could have been like, yeah, screw you, I'm not your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yep. So corny, but I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, and I, you know, especially like in the last like week, man, like this whole thing, this is all blown up, and there's been so many people that have
reached out and
oh
like, my gosh, yeah,
and just like it's so humbling, and it's like I'm just talking, like I don't want that kind of credit, and it's
but
cool,
like,
but
just
that
knowing
makes me feel great.
People are actually reaching out and telling us that we're making a difference already makes me want to cry, because it's just the little differences that people are saying. Which is everything. You know, it's so insane to me. I don't know. It's crazy. But.
We had somebody recently say to us, like, they did something nice for their husband, or their husband did something nice for them, or, it's left them no, you don't have to mention names.
So someone had said that, you made me think, I haven't written my husband a little note in his lunchbox in a very long time. And she did, that night, made him lunch, put a note in there, sent me a picture of it. And I was just like, and it just.
Yeah, but then what did he say?
Oh, and then he was saying he came inside and told her that she's amazing, like the best mother ever. And just that little change every now and then for a couple.
How much effort did that take?
Exactly. And it made each of them just
feel great.
Yes. And it just.
She puts hearts on all my sandwiches that she makes me. And it's funny because when she doesn't, my buddy will come into my office and be like, oh, there's no heart.
She don't love you today.
Nope. Yeah. What do you do?
But we've always done that stupid shit, and I think that's like so important. Don't let it get old, man. Like it doesn't have to.
Well, another thing that I do that most women don't think of, but should. Most men don't get flowers until their funeral.
Mm-hmm.
I will buy my man flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And when Mike and I first started dating, and he would come and play on Sunday mornings, every day there was a flower shop down the hallway in Turning Stone. He would go down, he would get me a bouquet of flowers, and he would bring me flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm not a real girl, I was like, sweetheart, these are great. I love them, but I don't like flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a month of him getting me these bouquets.
Aww.
Flowers are depressing to me.
Because they
From
die.
the minute you cut them, they're dead.
Yeah.
And the smell of them just reminds me of funerals.
Yeah.
I don't like flowers.
So give me ice cream instead.
No, you know what?
I told him, I was like, Opal's is right across from that. Get me cookies. I like cookies.
Yeah, wait, but you know what he did? Not
the first
flowers.
Valentine's Day.
Well, we will say that, but I just have to say, like, he bought me a tree. And we
that was recent.
Yeah, that was like months ago. But a weeping willow. I've always wanted a weeping willow. Birthday or Mother's Day or something.
One of them.
Yeah, anyway, he was out there digging a hole, and I'm like, he's being very weird and suspicious, but okay, whatever.
It sounds sweet, but she's been asking for one for like 3 years, so it's not very sweet.
No, it is though, because almost like I literally, I think started like crying almost, trying not to, but it just meant the world to me. Yeah. And I named it, and I go out and
do you remember our
say,
first...
"You're beautiful," and I just love it so much. What?
Do you remember our first Valentine's Day?
When
I got her...
he got a little tiny vase. But then he went on the side of the road, right? That one. Side
of the road. I drove around for a while looking. I was picking flowers by hand, and I'm like
weeds, but
I don't know.
I don't care. Like
they're pretty little flowers. Beautiful. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Little did she notice because I was just cheap. I'm like, she's not worth spending the money on. But
yeah, that's you definitely.
Yeah. That is so. And I think my card was written on the back of her receipt.
Oh yeah. So I bought her a couple things from Walmart, and I literally wrote her the note, like Valentine's Day note. Yeah. On the back of the receipt, and I'm like, guess, and I think on the receipt, I guarantee I'm the first guy to ever do this.
And I still have it. Yeah. I keep all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get credit for being cheap. So just
it's cute and it's different, and who does that?
Yeah.
It's unique, and
I'm unique.
You definitely
There's no
are.
other me.
Yes, you're unique. So I love you.
Holy crap! We're like just at an hour. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we let this go?
Thank you for sharing.
No.
Yeah.
If it will help one person, that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't see the shirt that I'm wearing, but on it says, "It's okay if the only thing you do today is breathe."
Yeah, that's awesome.
For real. Yeah.
So
one day at a time.
I'm hoping everybody does something really nice for their significant other after watching this, because if you don't, something's wrong with you.
Don't take them for granted.
Yeah.
Don't take them for granted.
Just do one thing a day, and you'll notice everything change around you, like in your relationships. Do one random small thing that you don't have to do unconditionally. So don't do something just because you're like, man, I haven't been laid in a while. I'm going to do this under the condition I get laid, because you shouldn't be about that. I mean, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope you guys really liked and, felt this podcast, because I think I almost wanted to cry when you were talking a lot of times.
I like how you kept me out of my emotions in a good way. Like you're an incredibly strong person. And I
my gosh, yes.
It took me a long time to get there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Long time.
Yep. Absolutely. But all right, I'm gonna end this, and I appreciate everybody's support.
Watching, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.